The darkness of space stretched endlessly in all directions, broken only by the distant glow of stars. But today, something massive was moving through that darkness. 50,000 warships emerged from hyperspace like metal storm clouds, their hulls gleaming with weapons that could crack planets in half. Admiral Vextar stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Dominator, watching the small blue world grow larger on his screens. His four eyes glowed with satisfaction as he counted the ships in his fleet. Each vessel carried enough firepower to level continents. Together, they were unstoppable. "Another primitive world," he muttered to his second-in-command commander, Zaltek. "This will be over before their sun sets." Vextar had perfected this routine over decades of conquest. Arrive with overwhelming force, broadcast the surrender demand, watch the terror spread across the target world, then accept their submission. Simple. Effective. He had conquered 17 star systems this way, each one falling within hours of his arrival. "Sir, we're in position around their planet," reported the tactical officer. "All weapon systems are charged and ready." "Excellent. Begin the standard intimidation protocol. Show them what happens to worlds that resist the hegemony." The alien fleet arranged itself in perfect formation around Earth, creating a metal ring of death that blocked out the sun in many places. Massive dreadnoughts the size of cities floated next to sleek destroyers bristling with plasma cannons. Fighter craft swarmed between the larger ships like angry insects. Far below on Earth's orbital defense station, Captain Kim Tae-ho was having his morning coffee when the alarms started blaring. Red warning lights flashed across the command center as dozens of officers rushed to their stations. "Captain, we have multiple contacts entering our system," called out Lieutenant Park So-jin from the sensor station. Her fingers danced across holographic displays showing the incoming fleet. "I'm reading... Wait, this can't be right." "What is it, Park?" "Sir, I'm showing 50,000 vessels. All of them appear to be warships." Kim nearly choked on his coffee. He set down his mug and walked over to the main view screen. What he saw made him whistle in appreciation. The alien fleet was impressive, he had to admit. Very organized, very intimidating. It reminded him of the old war movies his grandfather used to watch. "Sir, they're hailing us," reported Communications Officer Lee Dong-wook. "Should I put them through?" "Of course, let's see what they want." The view screen flickered and Admiral Vextar's image appeared. He was tall and imposing, with purple skin and 4 glowing red eyes. His uniform was covered in medals and insignia. That probably meant something very important in his culture. "Primitive beings of the third planet," Vextar's voice boomed through the speakers. "I am Admiral Vextar of the Galactic Hegemony. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You have one of your planetary rotations to surrender unconditionally." Kim raised an eyebrow. The translation system was working perfectly, but something about the formal tone struck him as oddly familiar. Vextar continued his speech, clearly reading from some kind of script. "Resistance is futile. Your primitive weapons cannot match our advanced technology. We have plasma cannons that can boil your oceans, neutron bombs that can crack your planet's core, and shield generators that can deflect any attack you might attempt." Lieutenant Park covered her mouth with her hand, trying not to laugh. The alien admiral sounded like he was reading from a movie script. "Furthermore," Vextar droned on, "we have conquered 17 star systems using our superior military might. Countless civilizations have fallen before our unstoppable war machine. Your only choice is immediate surrender, or we will demonstrate the full power of our fleet upon your defenseless world." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence for about 3 seconds. Then Lieutenant Park snorted. That single sound broke the dam, and suddenly the entire bridge crew erupted in laughter. Captain Kim tried to maintain his composure, but even he couldn't keep the grin off his face. Did he just give us the villain speech from Space Wars? "Episode 4, gasped Ensign Choi Min-ho between giggles. "I think he mixed in some dialogue from Galaxy Defenders too," added Park, wiping tears from her eyes. "The part about boiling oceans? That's definitely from the Zargon invasion scene." Kim shook his head in amazement. "Park, are you sure this isn't some kind of elaborate prank? Maybe the guys from the Luna base are trying to get us back for the fake emergency drill last month. Sir, I'm reading genuine alien technology out there. These ships are real. But that speech..." Park dissolved into giggles again. All right, Kim said, trying to restore some order to his bridge. Lee, open a channel. Let's respond to our new dramatic friends. Channel open, sir. Kim straightened his uniform and put on his most diplomatic smile. Greetings, Admiral. Vextar. Thank you for that very entertaining introduction. Before we continue, I have to ask, is this some kind of galactic comedy show? Because if it is, you guys are doing a fantastic job. The special effects alone must have cost a fortune. Admiral Vextar's purple face turned an even deeper shade of violet as the human's words echoed through his command center. Comedy show. Comedy show. His 4 eyes blazed with fury, while his tentacle-like appendages writhed behind his back like angry snakes. Sir, did they just mock us? Whispered Commander Zaltek, his own tentacles twitching nervously. They dared to laugh at the mighty hegemony, Vextar snarled, his voice carrying across the bridge. Every officer on deck could feel the rage radiating from their commander. In 17 conquests, no species has ever shown such disrespect. Not the warrior clans of Arcturus, not the hive minds of the Spiral Nebula, not even the stubborn rock-eaters of Granite Prime. He turned to his weapons officer, a 6-armed creature with crystalline skin that sparkled under the bridge lights. Crixtal, prepare for demonstration protocol. These primitives need to understand what they're dealing with. Which target, Admiral? Crixtal's multiple arms moved across the weapon controls like a deadly dance. Vextar studied the tactical display, his eyes scanning the human solar system. There, floating between the 4th and 5th planets, was a perfect target. A massive asteroid, easily a kilometer across, tumbling slowly through space. That large asteroid in their belt region. Maximum power. I want every ship in the outer. Ring to fire simultaneously. Let's show these humans what happens when you mock the hegemony. The order rippled through the fleet like an electric current. Thousands of warships adjusted their positions, their weapon arrays glowing with barely contained energy. Plasma cannons the size of skyscrapers began to charge, their humming growing louder and more menacing by the second. On the human orbital station, Captain Kim watched the alien fleet's movements with growing curiosity. Park, are you seeing this? They're all targeting that big rock in the asteroid belt. Confirmed, sir. Massive energy build-up across their entire fleet. Whatever they're planning, it's going to be spectacular. Get me a direct feed on the main screen. I want to see what these guys can do. The view screen shifted to show the distant asteroid, a rough chunk of iron and rock that had been drifting through space for millions of years. Around it, the alien fleet had formed a perfect circle, their weapons all pointing toward the same target. All ships report ready, Admiral, announced Crixtal. Plasma cannons at maximum charge. Fire. The space around the asteroid exploded into light. Thousands of brilliant energy beams lanced out from the alien ships, each one carrying enough power to level a city. The beams converged on the asteroid like the fingers of an enormous hand, wrapping it in pure destruction. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The kilometer-wide rock simply vaporized, transformed from solid matter into glowing plasma in the span of a heartbeat. The energy release was so intense that it created its own miniature star for several seconds, bathing the surrounding space. In brilliant white light, Admiral Vextar watched with satisfaction as the light faded, leaving nothing but scattered particles where the asteroid had been. Perfect. Now let's see how they respond to real power. He opened a channel to the human station, expecting to hear screams of terror or desperate pleas for mercy. Instead, he heard the same human voice from before, still sounding remarkably calm. Wow, that was actually pretty impressive. Captain Kim's voice came through clearly. Nice light show, Admiral. Very coordinated. Your gunners must have trained for years to get that kind of synchronization. Vextar's tentacles froze mid-writhe. Light show? The human was still treating this like entertainment? Kim continued. Hey, Lee, you seeing this? These guys just demonstrated some serious firepower. Why don't you show them how we handle our mining operations? Copy that, Captain, came a new voice, younger and more casual. Give me just a second to warm up the equipment. On Vextar's tactical display, a new contact appeared. A single human vessel, no larger than one of his scout ships, was moving toward the asteroid belt. It looked nothing like a warship, more like some kind of industrial equipment with engines attached. "What is that primitive craft doing?" muttered Commander Zaltek. The human ship approached a much larger asteroid, this one roughly the size of a small moon. It was a massive chunk of rock and metal that had been part of the belt for eons, easily 100 times larger than the target the hegemony had just destroyed. "All right, folks," came Engineer Lee's voice over the open channel. "We've been meaning to clear this debris for a while now. It's blocking our view of the Horsehead Nebula, and the tourism board has been complaining for months." The human vessel came to a stop near the moon-sized asteroid. There was no dramatic charge-up period, no glowing weapons, no formation of multiple ships. Just a simple, almost casual energy discharge from what appeared to be the ship's mining equipment. The effect was beyond anything Admiral Vextar had ever witnessed. The massive asteroid didn't explode or vaporize. It simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, a mountain-sized chunk of rock floating in space. The next moment, there was nothing but empty vacuum, as if the asteroid had never existed. "At all? There we go," Lee's cheerful voice continued. "Much better view now. Sorry about that, Admiral. We've been renovating this whole system lately. Got to make room for the new observation deck we're building near Jupiter. The view of the nebula should be spectacular once we're finished." The hegemony bridge fell into stunned silence. Even Vexistar's tentacles had stopped their angry writhing, hanging limply behind him, as he stared at the tactical display where a mountain-sized asteroid had simply vanished without a trace. Admiral Vexistar sat in his command chair, staring at the empty space where a moon-sized asteroid had been moments before. His four eyes blinked rapidly, as if trying to clear away what he had just witnessed. Around him, his bridge crew whispered nervously among themselves in their native languages. "Sir," Commander Zaltek approached cautiously, his crystalline scales clicking softly. "Perhaps we should reconsider our approach with these humans." Vextar's tentacles twitched with uncertainty. In all his years of conquest, nothing had prepared him for this. The humans had just casually erased a massive asteroid like it was nothing more than dust on a table. And they had done it with what they called mining equipment. "Send a diplomatic request," he finally said, his voice much quieter than before. "I need to understand what we're dealing with." Within an hour, a response came back from the human orbital station. They would be happy to meet for cultural exchange, they said. Ambassador Han would arrive shortly aboard a civilian transport. Vextar expected some kind of military escort, perhaps a small fleet of warships surrounding a heavily armored diplomatic vessel. Instead, what docked with his flagship looked like a pleasure craft that someone might use for weekend trips around their home system. But as the small ship approached, Vextar's sensors began registering readings that made no sense. The civilian transport was moving at speeds that exceeded his fastest military interceptors. Its energy signature was completely unknown, unlike anything in the hegemony's vast databases of galactic technology. "How is that possible?" muttered his chief engineer, a spider-like creature with dozens of mechanical arms. "That ship is generating more power than our entire dreadnought class, but it's no bigger than a shuttle." The docking bay doors opened with a soft hiss, and Ambassador Han Jin-ho stepped out. He was a middle-aged human with graying hair and a warm smile, wearing what appeared to be casual civilian clothes. No military uniform, no ceremonial armor, no visible weapons. He looked like someone you might meet at a neighborhood coffee shop. "Greetings," Han called out cheerfully, walking toward the assembled alien reception committee with the relaxed confidence of someone visiting old friends. "What a magnificent ship you have here. The architecture is fascinating, very imposing. Must be great for making first impressions." Admiral Vextar studied the human ambassador carefully. This was not what he had expected. Where was the fear? The desperate attempt to negotiate from a position of weakness? Han looked genuinely delighted to be there. "Ambassador Han," Vextar began formally, "I am Admiral Vextar of the Galactic Hegemony. We need to discuss the situation between our peoples." "Oh, you're the Hegemony!" Han's face lit up with recognition. "So you're the ones who've been sending those wonderful dramatic messages to every system in the galaxy. We've been following your broadcasts for years, very theatrical. The writing is excellent, very classical in style. Someone on your team must have studied the great conquest epics." Vextar's tentacles twitched in confusion. Broadcasts? Those were official surrender demands. Really? Han looked genuinely surprised. We thought it was some kind of galactic entertainment network, like a traveling theater group but with spaceships. Very impressive production values, by the way. The special effects alone must cost a fortune. This is no entertainment. Vexitar's voice rose in frustration. We are the hegemony. We have conquered civilizations across 17 star systems. We are the most powerful military force in this sector of the galaxy. Instead of the fear he expected, Han's expression shifted to one of genuine interest and admiration. Really? 17 whole systems? That's incredible. Han clasped his hands together. What an amazing hobby. You must have such fascinating stories. The logistics alone must be mind-boggling. Coordinating 50,000 ships, managing supply lines across multiple star systems, maintaining diplomatic relations with conquered worlds. It sounds like the most complex organizational challenge in the galaxy. Hobby? Vextar repeated weakly. Well, yes. We've been doing something similar, but we call it cosmic landscaping. Much more relaxing than conquest, though. We just find empty or unused systems and spruce them up a bit. Had some nice nebula views, maybe rearrange a few planets for better orbital mechanics, install some entertainment facilities, make the neighborhood more pleasant. Han gestured toward a viewport showing the human fleet in the distance. We've been working on about 40,000 systems so far. It's very satisfying work, seeing empty space transformed into something beautiful and functional. Vextar's mind reeled. 40,000 systems. The hegemony had struggled to conquer 17, and this human was casually mentioning 40,000 as if it were a weekend gardening project. But surely you must have military forces, Vextar pressed. That demonstration we witnessed, the complete destruction of that asteroid, that was clearly advanced weaponry. Han looked puzzled for a moment, then understanding dawned on his face. Oh, you mean Lee's mining equipment? That wasn't military technology, that was just standard industrial gear. We use it for large construction projects. Construction projects? Commander Zaltek whispered. Military? Han continued, seeming to consider the word carefully. I suppose you could call our emergency response teams military. They handle disasters, rescue operations, that sort of thing. Though these days they mostly help with construction projects. We're building a new entertainment complex in the Andromeda sector, and they've been very helpful with the heavy lifting. The alien delegation exchanged bewildered glances. Emergency response teams building entertainment complexes in other galaxies? But your weapons, Vextar insisted, your defenses. Surely you have some kind of military preparation for threats like our fleet. Han scratched his head thoughtfully. Well, I suppose if we really needed to defend ourselves, we could repurpose some of our industrial equipment. The asteroid mining gear could probably be adapted for defensive purposes, and our construction crews are very good at building things. Quickly, they could probably put together some kind of protective barrier if needed. He paused, looking slightly embarrassed. To be honest, Admiral, we've never really encountered a situation that required traditional military thinking. Most civilizations we meet are interested in joining our improvement projects rather than fighting about them. It's much more fun to build things together than to fight over empty space. Admiral Vextar realized with growing horror that humanity had accidentally become the most powerful civilization in the galaxy while treating the entire universe as their personal playground. Admiral Vextar felt like his world was crumbling around him. Nothing made sense anymore. He had spent his entire career believing the hegemony was the pinnacle of galactic civilization, and now these humans were treating their greatest achievements like children's toys. I need to understand, he said desperately, his tentacles gripping the edge of the conference table. Ambassador Han, could you arrange for me to speak with your scientists, your military leaders, someone who can explain your technology? Han smiled warmly. Of course. Dr. Cho Hyunwoo is aboard the orbital station. He's our chief scientist and would love to chat about technology. He's always excited to meet new people who share his interests. Within minutes, Dr. Cho's cheerful face appeared on the holographic display. He was a young-looking man with wild hair and paint stains on his lab coat, looking more like an artist than a scientist. Hello there, Cho waved enthusiastically. Ambassador Han tells me you're interested. In our technology. That's wonderful. We don't get many visitors who want to talk shop. Vextar leaned forward intensely. Dr. Cho, your species has demonstrated capabilities that surpass anything in known galactic science. I need to understand how you developed such advanced technology. Advanced? Cho looked puzzled. Oh, you must mean our basic infrastructure. Well, most of it started with practical problems we needed to solve. Practical problems? Sure. Take faster-than-light travel, for example. We invented that about 300 years ago because pizza delivery was taking too long between Earth and our Mars colonies. People were complaining that their food was getting cold during the 8-month shipping time. Vextar's 4 eyes widened. The hegemony had spent millennia developing their jump drive technology, considering it their greatest scientific achievement. These humans had created something far superior just to deliver food faster. What about your weapons? Vextar pressed. That demonstration we witnessed, the complete atomization of that asteroid, that was clearly military technology. Cho laughed. Weapons? Oh, you mean our mining equipment? Yeah, we needed something more efficient for large-scale construction. Projects? The old explosive mining was too messy and didn't give us the precision we needed for our art installations. Art installations? Vextar whispered, his voice barely audible. Oh yes, we've been decorating empty systems for centuries now. Space is so bland when you first find it. Just empty void with the occasional boring rock floating around. We like to add some personality to the neighborhood. Dr. Cho's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. Would you like to see some of our work? I have a catalogue right here. He pulled up a holographic display showing what looked like impossible cosmic structures. The first image showed a massive spiral of glowing gas and energy, beautiful beyond description, stretching across several light years. This is our eternal flame sculpture in the Vega system. We rearranged 3 nebulae and added some plasma generators to create a perpetual light show. It's visible from 17 different star systems. Vextar stared in shock. His people had been avoiding the Vega anomaly for generations, believing it to be some kind of dangerous natural phenomenon. Their scientists had written thousands of papers trying to explain the impossible energy readings coming from that region. And this, Cho continued, switching to another image, is our latest amusement park in the Centauri cluster. We hollowed out 3 planets and connected them with gravity tubes. The roller coaster runs through 14 different dimensions. It's very popular with the kids. The image showed what appeared to be planets that had been carved into impossible, geometric shapes, connected by streams of controlled gravity that formed elaborate loops and spirals through space itself. Those spatial anomalies, Vextar breathed, the ones our ships can't navigate through. The gravitational distortions that have puzzled our scientists for centuries. Oh, those are probably our playground areas, Cho said casually. We use modified gravity fields for most of our recreational facilities. Much more interesting than traditional physics, although I suppose they might be confusing if you don't know what they are. Commander Zaltek, who had been silent throughout the conversation, finally spoke up. Dr. Cho, how many of these installations do you have? Let me check the catalogue. Cho scrolled through what appeared to be an endless list. Looks like we're up to about 12,000 major installations, plus maybe 30,000 smaller projects. Oh, and we have those new underwater cities in the Andromeda Galaxy, but those are still under construction. Vextar felt his legs giving out. He slumped into his chair, his tentacles hanging limply. 12,000 installations. In how many star systems? Well, we don't really count by systems, Cho explained. We work on a project-by-project basis. But I'd guess we've improved maybe 40,000 systems so far. Captain Yoon would know the exact numbers. She keeps track of our territory management. As if summoned by her name, Captain Yoon Sejin appeared on the display next to Dr. Cho. She was reviewing what looked like a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy, with thousands of colored markers scattered across it. Did someone mention territory management? She asked cheerfully. Are our new friends interested in the development projects? How many systems? Vextar asked weakly. Systems we've improved? Let's see. Yoon manipulated the galactic map, highlighting clusters of stars in different colors. We've completed major improvements in about 42,000 systems. Another 8,000 are currently under construction, and we have preliminary surveys done for maybe 15,000. More, she paused, looking slightly embarrassed. Although control is such a strong word, we don't really control anything. We just make improvements and then let local civilizations enjoy them. It's more like cosmic landscaping than territorial expansion. Vextar stared at the map. The colored markers representing human improvements covered nearly a quarter of the known galaxy. The hegemony's 17 conquered systems looked like tiny dots in comparison. "So your people," he said slowly, "have accidentally become the most advanced civilization in galactic history, while treating the entire universe as an art project." Dr. Cho beamed with pride. "Exactly. Isn't it wonderful? We've always believed that if you're going to do something, you might as well make it beautiful and fun. Life's too short to spend it being serious all the time." The horrible truth was finally clear. Humanity had surpassed every known civilization not through conquest or military might, but by treating everything as entertainment and creative expression. Their hobbies were achievements that other civilizations could only dream of. Admiral Vextar stood in the center of his command bridge, surrounded by 50,000 warships that had once been the terror of 17 star systems. But now, for the first time in his military career, he felt completely powerless. His tentacles hung limp at his sides as he stared at the holographic display showing humanity's casual dominance over nearly half the galaxy. "Sir," Commander Zaltek approached cautiously, his crystalline scales dimmed with uncertainty. "What are your orders?" Vextar looked around at his bridge crew. The six-armed weapons officer Krixtal had powered down all the plasma cannons. The spider-like chief engineer was running diagnostics on systems that now seemed pathetically primitive. Compared to human mining equipment, his entire fleet of advanced warships suddenly felt like a collection of antique toys. "Commander," Vextar said slowly, "in all our conquests, have we ever encountered a situation like this?" "No, sir. The war manuals don't cover recreational, cosmic landscaping." Vextar made a decision that would have been unthinkable just hours before. He opened a direct channel to the human orbital station, his pride finally giving way to reality. "Captain Kim," he began, his voice much quieter than his usual commanding tone. The hegemony, we need to discuss a different kind of arrangement." Captain Kim's face appeared on the screen, still wearing that friendly smile that had started this whole surreal encounter. "Of course, Admiral, what did you have in mind?" Vextar took a deep breath, his four eyes closing briefly as he prepared to say words that no hegemony admiral had ever spoken. We would like to join your entertainment network." The words came out barely above a whisper, but they echoed through the bridge like thunder. His entire crew turned to stare at their commander in shock. Captain Kim's reaction was immediate and explosive. His face lit up with pure joy, and he actually clapped his hands together like a child receiving a wonderful surprise. "Really? That's absolutely fantastic." Kim turned to someone off-screen. Bai, get over here. We're about to have the biggest welcome party in galactic history." Officer Bai Su Young appeared next to Kim, her eyes bright with excitement. "Sir, are you serious? They want to join the network?" "Dead serious. Start planning the welcome celebration. We need music, food, entertainment. Oh, should we show them the disco planet we built in the Andromeda sector?" "The disco planet?" Bai's smile grew even wider. "That's perfect. It's our best party venue. The whole planet pulses with synchronized lights and music. We can see it from 3 galaxies away." Vextar listened to this exchange with growing amazement. These humans were treating the addition of 50,000 warships to their network like they were planning a neighborhood barbecue. "And Vexitar," Kim continued, turning back to face the Admiral, "can I call you Vex? You're now our Director of Galactic Fun. Your first assignment is helping us plan the galaxy's first interspecies comedy tour." "Director of what?" Vextar's tentacles twitched in confusion. "Galactic Fun. We need someone with your organizational skills to coordinate entertainment across multiple star systems. You've managed fleets, supply lines, and conquered territories. Managing a comedy tour should be easy for someone with your experience. Dr. Cho's voice came through the comm system. From the background. Oh, this is wonderful. Admiral, wait until you see our comedy venues. We have a whole planet that's been turned into a giant stage. The audience sits on the moons, and the performers use anti-gravity fields to create amazing shows in the atmosphere. Ambassador. Han joined the conversation. Admiral, your dramatic flair would be perfect for entertainment management. Those conquest speeches you gave? Pure theater. We could use that talent for our performance arts programs. Vextar felt something strange happening to his face. The corners of his mouth were turning upward, in an expression he hadn't made in decades. He was smiling. You want me to plan a comedy tour? He asked, and for the first time the idea didn't sound terrifying or impossible. It sounded fun. Absolutely, Kim replied. We'll start with your fleet. 50,000 ships is perfect for a mobile entertainment venue. We can retrofit them with performance stages, holographic projectors, and audience seating. Imagine the shows we could put on. Commander Zaltek leaned over to whisper, Sir, what about the Hegemony High Command? What will they say about this? Vextar thought for a moment, then his smile grew wider. Commander, send a message to High Command. Tell them we've successfully incorporated ourselves into the local entertainment infrastructure. We're now part of the largest recreational network in galactic history. And what about conquest protocols, sir? Conquest is obsolete, Commander. We're moving into the collaboration business. Within hours, the transformation began. Human engineering teams arrived with plans to convert hegemony warships into mobile, theaters and party venues. Weapons bays were redesigned as concert halls. Plasma cannon arrays became spectacular light show projectors. Fighter hangars were converted into dance floors with artificial gravity that could be adjusted for different species. The mighty Hegemony War Fleet, once the terror of 17 star systems, became the galaxy's first mobile entertainment venue. Admiral Vextar found himself wearing a colorful festival uniform instead of military armor, coordinating light shows instead of orbital bombardments. You know, he said to Captain Kim as they watched the fleet's transformation, I never realized how much fun the universe could be when you're not trying to conquer it. That's humanity's greatest secret, Kim replied with a grin. Life's too short to spend it being serious all the time. There's a whole galaxy out there full of amazing things to see and do. Why waste time fighting over it when you can enjoy? Fade Together. The first interspecies comedy show was a massive success, with audiences from hundreds of different civilizations laughing together under the stars. Admiral Vextar discovered that making people happy was far more satisfying than making them surrender. Conquest became collaboration, and the galaxy became a much more entertaining place. The Endy.